So the topic is Nitya Dharma and history. So history means here the history of the Vaishnava Dharma. That's basically the main thing. Now let us start inside. So here I am really putting a question, asking, who is really fortunate? One who meets suppose somebody happens to meet the Queen of England, and that, of course, it will come in the Facebook, they'll be writing essays, and the person will be really talking great about himself. And suppose on the other hand, suppose somebody really meets the Guru, and these two are, if we really see the value in the material value, the meeting a queen or even president or whoever you really talk about, that is, that people think that is the highest. But in fact, that is not good fortune at all. Right? Because we always see that people are really fascinated by these kind of things. For example, suppose an actress comes to do a Bhangra dance. People rush to buy the tickets. But if a guru comes to give a talk about Krishna, no one goes there. This is the reality. But the Shastra says that the real lucky ones are those who meet a spiritual guru. That is why Brahmanda Pramite Kuvana Bhakyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lada Bija. Okay, we actually discussed that before. So that Bhagyavan means one who is actually fortunate. So that fortunate person is actually the one who really finds a guru. So he is the real fortunate. So now here I am asking you something very important. The Harihara, as we started, right? So basically how this whole chapter really started was Harihara, who actually got initiated into the Vaishnava Sampradaya, but by the Kula Guru. Kula Guru is not really Guru. Okay? So that is how he really got into that. But the thing is, he did not really get any bhakti. And in fact, he really got so confused. And he actually fell down. But now, what is the real reason Mr. Harihar why actually fell down? Isn't it? He fell down. Because if you really remember the previous week's starting, how it was, he started so many questions. And he finally really declared that the Vaishnavism is something really totally bizarre. It is a novel. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really made it up. And all the things. And he was blaspheming like crazy. And then that was how he really approached this Nyayaratra for the debate. So what was the real reason that he really fell down? Just initiation alone does not make one a Vaishnava. This is very, very important. Just getting a mantra and then run away and then do whatever that you really want, that is not going to make a Vaishnava. That's exactly happened with Harihara. So one without association with the sadhu is like a fish out of water. A fish is always comfortable and it will be living, will be able to live only when it is situated in the water. As soon as it comes out of the water, it is not going to be able to surviving. This is what is very, very important. Sadhu Sangha is very, very important. One has to keep associating with the Guru. If he is not associating with the Guru, just for the name he really got the initiation and separated, that is not the real Vaishnavism or rather the way to develop bhakti. That's not the way. So Harihara, that's exactly what actually happened. Right? So he made one big aparadha at the end. He went for a debate with a sadhu. So he is actually finished. No hope at all. Vaishnava aparadha is very, very dangerous. Now also last week, in fact today also I really started something, from whatever we really left over. There are 4 stages to Vaishnava Dharma. So it was compared with a lotus flower. Then in the very beginning, at the time of creation, Bhagavad Jnana was given to Brahma. It was like a bird. It was, this Vaishnavism that was Nitya Dharma is actually just evolving, right from the very beginning. In fact, that is why it's Nitya Dharma, because it really started very beginning. Then the Maya Vijnana, that really came from when Veda Vyasa and all those, they give so much of scriptures. So that was the Maya Vijnana stage. Okay, it was just coming out of the birds. Then the sadhana bhakti, that was very predominant when Sri Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, then Vishnu Swami, and Nimbarka. So they all, when they really came, that sadhana bhakti became material. Because so it was really, again, it was actually becoming a flower, but not fully blossomed. It was not able to really attract the bees yet. But the fourth stage, normally, that comes only at the end of the Yuga cycle, Satyuga Yuga. This is actually Kali Yuga. So the Kali Yuga, at the end, only prema is possible because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes down. Not in every Kali Yuga, but he really has a plan, and that is exactly what really got. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, who came to give the highest stage of bhakti, prema. So that is why he is called Prema Purusha. So now people really talk about many things. Okay, now I really want to give three aspects: Artha, Paramartha, and Premartha. Okay, Artha, Paramartha, and Premartha. So what is Artha? Artha means material enjoyment. You see at the bottom of the slide. So that is available in the Devi Dama. What is Devi Dama? Devi Dama is all the material creations, everything, all the as we covered yesterday in the Friday satsang class. So all the material creation is all in collaboration with Durga Devi, Devi Dam. So she is the jailer, she is the controller. All those worlds, really material worlds, really belongs to her only. And Vishnu, Brahma, and the Shiva, they are actually work for her in the material side. Okay, but then the people call as Artha, the material enjoyments. Actually, they are sufferings, in fact, right? And that is available here only in this material world, which is the lowest of these three goals. Okay, Artha means actually in Sanskrit it means meaningful of something. So people think that what is the meaningful of living is to really be really enjoying. Okay, that's what the material time is. Then if you see the spiritual world above, there you have so many levels. Again, as I covered, spiritual dimension is very high, very big, very vast. Okay, compared to even galaxies and all the clusters, super clusters that we covered yesterday. But this is, the spiritual world is humongous. Just unbelievable. It is actually 3/4 of the energy whatever that Bhagavan has really, Bhagavan Krishna has spent. That is spiritual dimension. Only 1/4 is the material creations. Okay, but only he really builds. That is it. And all his subordinates, all the way from Mahavishnu, he is the one who really creates all this. Anyway, so now let us look at the spiritual dimension, which means Vaikunta, Saket, even Kailash. They all on the next level. So here, the Lord is given the name Maryada Purushottama. Lord Ram, for example, he is actually called Maryada Purushottama. In fact, Lord Narayana, Lord Rama, they are same. Okay, they are Vaikunta, Saket. So in fact, if you see that, so next to Devi Dama is Mahesh Dama, that is Shiva Loka, that is Kailash. Then next to that one is Haridama. Haridama is Vaikunt. In the part of the Vaikunt, little higher above is Saket, where Lord Ram is there. And then above, all the way up there, is Goloka Vrindavan. So these Vaikunta, Saket, and all the Kailash, they all called Paramartha, spiritual bliss. They get bliss, including even mingling in the Brahmajyoti. They're all spiritual bliss. Okay, and of these, Brahmajyoti is the lowest, in fact. Okay. So anyway, Vaikunta is actually high, or Saket is highest, not Vaikunta. Above Vaikunta is Saket. That is Lord Ram's abode. Okay, now let us go through the third level, which is the Premartha. That is available only in Goloka. And Goloka, if you see that, there are two divisions. One is Goloka Vrindavan and then Swaita Dvipa. If you see the scriptures, you can actually clearly see the descriptions actually. So Goloka Vrindavan is where the Krishna actually performs leelas as whatever, so much unlimited leelas are actually happening there in Goloka Vrindavan. That is leela. So he is called Leela Purushottama. He performs so much of leela. So the leelas are not there in Vaikunta and Saket, little bit is there, but then there is hardly any leela. It's really insignificant compared to what Leela Purushottama Lord Krishna performs in Goloka Vrindavan. Then second one is Swaita Dvipa, Swaita Dvipam. That is where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually comes from. He is also from Goloka. So Goloka has two parts, two compartments. Goloka Vrindavan and then Swaita Dvipa. Swaita Dvipa is where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes eternally happening, and he is called Prema Purushottama. So now that four stages of the flower, starting from bud that I was really talking about, now the Prema, when it comes, it is not even with the Leela Purushottama. No. He is the object of the Prema. But here Prema Purushottama is the one who gives the Prema. That's the difference. Krishna is the object of the prema. He is the object. He won't give you prema. He cannot. So he has to combine with Radharani, and that is basically that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he is called Prema Purushottama. Only Prema Purushottama can award Prema Bhakti, no one else. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought prema from Goloka. You see all the other ways. Look at it. He started with the bud and then it went through the intermediate stage. But when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, that is why it is full blossomed, and it gives all the fragrances all the way. And those jivas who are fortunate to appear in that time, we are actually very fortunate. We appeared right at the time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just appeared 500 years ago. But again, not that fortunate, because we could have been actually be with him, but that is actually very, very high level. So at least now we are actually so fortunate. He is going to be, this prema is going to be talking, people, all the devotees and all the high, the sadhus coming from Goloka Vrindavan and all the Swaita Dvipa, they will be available only for just 10,000 years from now. That is it. Afterwards, what happens is, then the Kali will take over, and it will manifest its own destructions as it is supposed to, and leading towards the entire annihilation of this yuga. Then after that, that is when Kalki appears. All right. So now we talked about two kinds of bhakti actually. In the previous slide, if you see that, there are two kinds of bhakti, in fact. So one is Vaiti Bhakti. So the Vaiti Bhakti is the one which I was talking about. That is the Paramartha, Maryada Purushottama. They are concerned. That is actually Vaiti Bhakti. See, that's why really put in bracket. But the other one where is the Premartha is the Prema Bhakti. So the Prema Bhakti actually comes from Goloka. It is only very short time. Even if you see all the way from Satya Loka, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. Now we are in Kali Yuga. If you see that, all the other yugas, if you see, the prema was not at all given. Only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed that so freely. Okay. Then a question came. Why Panditas don't praise Nama Sankirtan? Panditas are Pandas. These Pandas, who are the Pandas? If you go to Vrindavan, you will feel really what these Pandas are. They will literally drag you. If you go to Gokul, you are seeing the pillars of Gokul, in fact. Okay? If you go to Gokul, you will see the harassment really to so peak, pinnacle. They will demand all your money. If you don't give them any money, they will curse you. You go to even Radha Kunda, you see so many Pandas. They will give little flowers and then, all right, okay, so do the puja or whatever. They will give few things, chant few things. I don't know what they really chant, and then you have to give like 500 rupees, 200 rupees, minimum. Otherwise, they will again curse you. Very bad. They are business people. They are not Vaishnavas. These people do not have anything to do with bhakti. Vaishnavas give everything free. They don't really even think about money. Money is not at all in their mind. He is the proper Vaishnava. They will never ask for money. Yes. Now, also we really covered last week. I want to just reiterate quickly again. Why Shankaracharya, whatever that he taught Mayavadism. Okay, this is the deep subject. I really want you to really to understand so deeply, because this is very important. In fact, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he appeared 500 years ago, Lord Shiva and Parvati, they also appeared as a Brahmana and a Brahmini. They appeared and they received Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they spent about few days. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually touring to South India, that was the time he really met them, and they actually happened to be really staying with those Shiva and Parvati, and who really appeared as Brahmanas. They don't have to be born because they can actually just like that manifest. So they had a deep discussion. They have a lot of things which normal people don't know. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us through Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and lot of instructions that he had a very big plan. The plan was to divide his dear devotees, pure devotees, and the non-devotees into two separate groups. Because Lord Krishna wants to associate only with his pure devotees. Who are the pure devotees? Pure devotees are the ones who always give themselves. They have prema. They have Krishna bhakti. They don't really ask for mukti or this or that. No, that is not Krishna. Krishna bhakti is very different. Okay, so those who really have prema they will never ask for anything from the Lord. Okay, so this is the way. This is where Lord sits in their heart, and in the Lord's heart, these kind of devotees are the only one who sits. See, that's what he tells in so many slokas. So do you think that I am staying in the spiritual world? No. Wherever my devotees sing my glories and they cry for me, I am in that place. I am not in the spiritual world as you think. This is the heart of my devotees. Dear devotees are my temples. So he wanted to divide that into separate. You just think about a situation. Ravana or Kumbhakarna or these Kamsa and so many demons. Remember who all used to fight, right? And like against Krishna, for example, Narakasura, these asuras, so many asuras. They always what? In heaven also, if you see that, in heaven, who is worshipped? Those are highly devoted. I mean, relatively higher. Okay, not the greatest. They worship Vishnu. But what about who are the other ones against the devas in heaven? They are asuras. These asuras worship Lord Shiva. There is a psychology. When one gets really furious in worshipping Lord Shiva, that means they are demonic. I am not saying, Shastra is saying that. That is why they get automatically attracted to Lord Shiva and also Kali and all those kind of worship is because you are demonic. You cannot have Krishna Bhakti unless you really change your DNA by surrendering to a guru, which normally very, very rare to happen. These kind of people will cannot come to Krishna consciousness. It's not possible. So Krishna consciousness is not for everybody. So Lord really put a plan to divide them into separate so that they don't bother him. What if suppose all these demonic people are also going to Goloka? Will that be really Goloka? Right, isn't it? You are talking about Ivy College And if all the Janata people who don't know anything about, they are also admitted in the Harvard. Harvard has a lot of other bad names, but anyway. So what I'm talking about, these high institutions, how can that actually be continue to be that kind of standard? So Lord wanted to divide. That is why he said, you go and then work on the psychology. What is the psychology? You teach them that you are God. Everything is God. There you go. It's called Mayavadam. Mayavadam asat satram. Lord Shiva himself told Parvati Devi, oh Parvati Devi, because of Bhagavan Krishna's order, I had to really go and then, teach this Mayavadam, asat satram. That is what Lord Shankaracharya did. He is Acharya. Because our Lord Chaitanya considered himself as Acharya. But he had a purpose. But at the end, he could not tolerate. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. He really cried, and then all his disciples were thinking that he got mad. So this is the truth. It is the Lord's wish to really do whatever they want. Jivatmas, when they really be favorable for him, he wants to really get them. Otherwise, he will separate. Now, why Vaishnavas do not eat prasadam from this kind of devas? First of all, anyway, you just went through the whole thing. All these devas are passion or of tamasic nature. Yeah, just imagine, they are not sattvic. They play a role of, tamasic or passion. They are worshipped by Mayavadis. This Panja Upasana system was invented purposely by Shankaracharya to really trick all these kind of demoniac people into this nook. So they are worshipped only by Mayavadis. Because Vaishnavas won't worship this way. Vaishnavas worship only one. That is it. That is Bhagavan. Bhagavad Gita says again and again, man mana bhava. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the only one. Why you really want to Yanti Deva, Yanti, why are worshipping everybody else? That is not correct. Even if you worship, it has to come to me only. But you don't come. Your worship comes to me, but you don't come. So they are Mayavadis, the one who really get crooked into worshipping these kind of devadas. Why? Because their intelligence is cheated for material favors. So that place Vaishnava has nothing to do with. You understand? Vaishnavas always want to give, not to get anything, no? Isn't it? Even Lord Shiva, what? They are going for what? To get mukti. But that's not what we want. I mean, what? Vaishnavas don't want that. Even Yoga Sastra says it's a great danger to bhakti, Krishna bhakti, if you are actually eating prasadam and then are worshipping these kind of devas. Because it's not one-pointed. It is not Ananya Bhakti anymore. Only Krishna can be controlled only by Ananya Bhakti. This is this is God. It's all part of this only, because it's all Vibhutis only, no? Kartikeya, he said in the Gita that he is also one of the Vibhuti. He is comparing. And he says that actually, big fish is also me only. And the big mountain is also mine only. No, we don't have to really worship. You worship only Bhagavan. Sakshat Bhagavan. So if you worship others other than Bhagavan, there is a danger to Krishna Bhakti, danger to Ananya Bhakti. And the biggest thing is offensive to Bhakti Devi. Bhakti Devi, that is a big topic by itself. Bhakti Devi is so pure. If you really start worshipping other than Krishna, Bhakti Devi is going to be really, you are making offense to her. This is the greatest. Now, if you see that, getting Krishna Bhakti is not that easy. In fact, why does no one, including demigods, get Prema Bhakti? Sri Krishna Bhakti is very different and also extremely difficult. People think that they are Krishna Bhaktas, but they are not. Why does that? Then why all the gods and gods, they are desperate. They cannot get it. I would really ask one of our senior children, Yashika, who is also a very good singer, to just explain this in her own words.
People think that they are Krishna Bhaktas, but mostly they're not. Why does no one, including demigods, get Prema Bhakti to Krishna? For example, Lord Indra, the god of all the demigods, he had insulted his own guru. He is so proud of his position, and he does not bow down to anyone. This is why Krishna even punished him, even fought a war with him. Krishna does not give Prema Bhakti to all these kinds of people. Krishna has hidden Prema Bhakti in very secret places that no one dares to come get it. What are the places? We just read about them today in the Jivadharma class. The dust from his pure bhakta's lotus feet, the remnants of his prasadam from his pure bhakta, the nectar like water that washed his pure bhakta's feet. Will anyone go for these? No. This is why no one has Prema Bhakti. No one. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamola. Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamola. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. This means the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees makes one enthusiastic in devotional service, and it makes it one to engage in serving the pure devotees, and it is the very root of the creeper of Krishna Prema. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, also we really saw that there is really a lot of advantage in being born as in low caste. This is very, 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 very special in fact, right? And if you see our own Namacharya, who is none other than Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma came to participate in the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when he came down, he is the CEO of our Brahmanda. But he did not want to really, appear as a Brahmana. He was born in a Muslim family, and in fact he was tortured for that because he was chanting Harinama. And if you see whatever that, there's a tree. There was a tree, big tree. Okay, this is called. This is there still in the Bangladesh. It's a sacred Madhavi tree under which he will be chanting 192 rounds every day, every single day. That means 3 lakh names every day without fail. And this is under the tree because that original tree is actually there. The trunk is actually gone. So they actually kept it somewhere. This is actually sprouted from there. So now if we see that, why being born in a non-Brahmana actually adds so much of advantage is no ego of high birth can linger. It's completely gone. And the humbleness will automatically come. So what happens? Trinatapi sunichena tarorapi sagishnuna. Look at here, when one consider himself as the lower of the blade of even grass, or more tolerant than a tree, then he can chant. That's exactly what his Namacharya is actually arranged so that he did not, he was not born in a Brahmana family, high birth. So it added so nicely and became Namacharya. So this is actually a very important point. In fact, we also read that really came from Nyaya Ratna's one mouth. you are saying that, taking refuge of the age of Kali, demons are also sometimes born in families of the Brahmanas. Okay, anyway, so we don't want to really get into those things. All right. So this is very, very important. I will tell you. Now, coming to the animal sacrifice. Animal sacrifice is totally ignorance. Animal sacrifice is sinful. We even made our children actually made even a nice drama also. You must have seen that one. But then why Vedas is really talking about, this kind of animal sacrifice? Yes, you actually read that. It is for some particular occasion to really remind the fact that you should not kill animals, but only this kind of sacrifice, you can actually, consume it so that to control your senses. But what happened? In the name of Veda, they were killing animals. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us a very important truth. Why Vedas, this animal sacrifice was there was, when these all those those who really read Vedas and become a pandits and they really recite the mantras, there will be a test at the end. That test is to check the power of the mantra. So how can we see we all get degrees only by after a writing exam. So this is the exam. What was the exam? The exam is very 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 difficult. So that person is supposed to chant the mantra by putting a cow, a old cow. Purposely they will select a old cow into the fire and then tell the mantra, then it really just vanishes, and then he will tell the mantra in the reverse order and the same cow reappears again. This is a test. This is how they are examined. Okay, right? And when it comes back with a youthful form. And another advantage is that cow who was sacrificed, it will be given a human birth in the next life. So this is the situation. But then what did happen? These Brahmanas, they were not able to really learn the mantras properly and the cow did not really come back. They started eating and eating. They said, yeah, Veda supports it and then we'll eat it. That is why Lord Buddha had to come. That was Sakshat Bhagavan himself came as Lord Buddha and said, throw the Vedas out. Because they did not understand the purpose of all these. It's a wrong use. And in fact, Manusmriti, there are a lot of verses. Okay, Manusmriti is another one. I will tell you, this was really composed by Maharishi Manu. That was a long time back, at the beginning of the creation. Now there are 2,685 verses. Out of that, only 1,214 were present originally. More than half of them, that is 1,471 slokas they are called prakshiptas. That means interpolations. Somebody mutated, somebody changed it. So, but here, this is from one of the original one. Mamsa bhakshayitam mutrayasya mamsamihat mayaham yetan mamsasya mamsatvam pravadandi manishinaha. The meaning is, in this world, those who eat meat, in the next world, they will be eaten. That is the meaning of the word mamsa. The mamsa, first word in the sloka, mamsa means it is telling that. That's what it does, it tells the meaning. The meaning is very simple. Mam means me, sa means you, that is he, somebody. Yeah, today I eat you, and next time you eat me. So you are now in my plate for me to eat, and the next birth, next time, I will be in your plate and you eat me. That is the meaning of mamsa. How many people know these things? Krishna Bhakta does not have any debt to anyone. Okay, this is the last one that was getting covered. Devarshi bhutapta nirnam pitranam na kingaro nayam rini charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parikritya kartam. O king, one who has given up all the material duties and has taken full shelter of lotus feet of Mukunda, that is Krishna, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, not indebted to the great sages, not indebted to the ordinary living beings, not indebted to any relatives, any friends, any mankind, or even whatever that you can think of, the forefathers, nothing, no one. So including all the forefathers, he has no debt at all. In fact, when we are born, depending on where you are born, you are actually having indebted to your ancestors. But when you really surrender to Mukunda, Lord Krishna, he wipes out everything. All the debts are clean, washed out, taken out. Okay? Since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of Supreme Lord, one who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve anyone separately. Okay? And also if you see that this is from this is from Srimad Bhagavatam again. So it says, Tavat karmani kurvite na nirvidyete yavata mat kada shravanadauva shraddha yavanna jayate. As long as one has not awakened his taste for devotional service by shravanam, kirtanam, sparanam, pada sevanam, all those things, then because if one is not surrendered to all this, to Lord, then only he has the duty of doing karma. So basically any Krishna worshipper, he is completely free from these all the things. That is why Shraddhas, all the Shraddha means what? For the ancestors, right? Even when they are actually leaving the body, you are not actually, you don't have to give that. In fact, when my mom actually went, I am not a great bhakta or something, but I really followed what Gurudev has really taught. So we did not do the Shraddha in a real Shraddha way. We really had a puja for Lord Narasimhadev and offered all the flowers and tulasi and everything to her. It is there in the recording also. Anyway, so you don't have to really worry about anything. By just serving the Lord, you don't have any debt at all. No shraddha, nothing. Okay? And again, talking about the Krishna Prasada, I really wanted to tell you something about that. Because why we should not, we should not really take any remnants of any other devatas. This is very important because your bhakti will be finished. This is why the reason is, just because you are not careful, you are actually even worshipping. You are worshipping other gods. Okay, you really go there and you become a pujari in Krishna temple. But the thing is, you are actually worshipping somewhere else. Very dangerous. Your bhakti will be finished. You have to stop that. Okay? This is because Krishna line is very, very important. And doesn't matter what god it is. Even Lord Shiva. No, in Vrindavan what happens? When only after offering prasadam to Krishna, then it goes to the Shiva temples. Maheshwar, he actually takes the remnants from Krishna and then it becomes prasad. That is not the way that you worship. If you really worship, that you really worship Krishna, take the prasadam, then you can offer to anyone, any god. They will be glad. In fact, what happens is they will start dancing. Then in the same context, suppose you are a Krishna Bhakta, real Krishna Bhakta, and as soon as a Krishna Bhakta comes in one parampara, one family tradition, their ancestors will start dancing in the whether hell or heaven, no problem at all. They will start dancing because Krishna Bhakta, as Yashika has really clearly mentioned, it is very difficult. Only those are the Krishna Bhaktas. Those Bhaktas who don't have any debt, nothing. They are free from everything. And they are always under because actually Lord Krishna, what he says is, he will keep his all the dear Bhaktas in his heart. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Vanja kalpa taripchecha kripa sindhu piyavacha paritanam pavane piyo vaishnave piyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.